Okay, so the first rule that we're gonna show off is going to scare all of you, and you're gonna be like, Pi, I thought you told me the early game is going to be easier. Trust. I believe this should make the early game a lot easier for a lot of the games. Without further ado, are you ready? I want to preface this. I got a lot of feedback from a lot of people. I lurk the Discord a lot and I read a lot of things that people say. Sometimes I agree with them, sometimes I don't agree with them. If you don't like the survival rules, you do not need to play survival. There is IronMON, there is Ultimate IronMON, and there is Kaizo. Survival is meant to be a rule set that is not to be edited. It is meant to be something to where people know that they are playing with the same rule set that someone else is using. So if they go into a survival stream, they know, hey, this person is using these rules. So I just want to make that super clear. This will not be for everyone. All right, let's just do it. The main theme of survival is limited Poké Centers. You get 10 Poké Centers. You get a bonus one when you clear 8 gems. And you're thinking, oh no, that's crazy. You're right. You're not going to be able to farm all of the optional trainers in the mid game anymore. You're going to have to make decisions, and you're going to be getting to Elite Four with less XP. One of the big complaints I have from people is that the mid game in a lot of these games is really boring and you just farm for like 3 hours. And I agree. And a lot of the complaints I have is that the early game is too strong and most of your runs die. And I agree. So I know what you're thinking. 10 heals, how is that going to make the early game easier? Just wait. I'm getting there. You're going to have to make different routing decisions. You're going to have to be a little bit riskier. You can't just go back and forth and heal every single time between a fight. You're going to have to push it to the limit. You're going to have to gamble more. There's more risk involved. All right, so the next one. This is the big one. Start off shopping. You can buy 20 potions before the first non-rival fight. So this should make N much easier in Gen 5. I've been told by a lot of people N is really rough. This should make the Forest and Brock much easier in Gen 3. So now you can buy up to 20 potions. You'll notice that you will not have enough money, at least I don't know for all the games, but in most of the games, you will not have enough money to buy 20 at the start. So once you fight that first trainer, you cannot purchase any more potions. Now, when you see a nugget, you might pop off and be like, I can get 20 potions now. Pivoting is a little bit scary. You can't just load up on Pokeballs. You need that money to get potions. Now, important trainers get held items. So gym leaders, rivals, Team Rocket leads will now get items. And again, I want this to be super clear. The part that will make this a lot more doable, we haven't got to yet. So if you're freaking out, just trust. This is not just, oh my gosh, everything is harder. I thought you said you'd make some things easier. Trust, I promise, okay? We're tackling the big rule changes first. All right, PP up limit. So you may now use only PP ups. You get 1 PP up per move. PP maxes are now banned, but I didn't want to penalize people for finding PP maxes. So you'll be able to trade PP maxes in by selling it and trading in for either a hyper potion or 3 full heals. I'm trying to keep this balanced. I want PP maxes to still be a pop-up moment. So now you can get hypers as early as Saffron. So that if you get a couple PP maxes and you get past Rock Tunnel, you're immediately rewarded with a bunch of heals or 3 full heals. All right, next one. In honor of survival and acquiring resources, if you collect all 5 of the flutes, you can turn it in for 2 hyper potions or 5 full heals. For those who don't know, there's a huge meme on my stream where I try to collect all 4 shards. I wanted it to be shards, but unfortunately that won't be a realistic thing in the near future. I talked to a dev for the randomizer and they said that the flutes are available all the way to Gen 6. So you should be able to do this in all of the games. Get 5 flutes, turn it in for 2 hypers or 5 full heals. Gen 7, okay. Alrighty. Favorite limits. Okay, this is something that I'm implementing. I've been getting feedback from a lot of people about favorites. And someone made a really good point that as you go up the game list, there are more Pokemon, which means they're less likely to get favorites. So for going on forward, and this is a rule for every Pokemon game, or every rule set. So Kaizo, IronMON Ultimate, Gens 1 through 3 is 3 favorites. Gens 4 is 4 favorites. Gen 5 is 5 favorites. Gen 6 is 6 favorites. Gen 7 is 7 favorites, okay? I do listen to feedback. I thought this was a really good change. I thought it made a lot of sense because as the number goes up, it becomes increasingly harder to roll a favorite and to give some love to the people that are doing gens 4, 5, and 6. Oh, and yeah, no legendaries. Sorry. For many reasons, the early game is the hardest part for legendaries because they're put on slow. That was the main reason, and I'm just tired of having to like debate this with people. The only way you can technically get a legendary is if it evolves into one, and the chances are extremely low. The highest legal Pokemon in Gen 3 is Arcanine. There are some legendaries that are below 580. Those are fair game. I'll probably just get rid of the no legendaries part but yeah, you can use those. It's just 580 BST Pokemon. No stalling. So I love the Pokeball strat. If you know, there's a huge meme about throwing balls. People are gonna post it right now. But for survival, since the theme is limited resources and Pokeballs are just so easy to acquire, I feel like it's gonna become a more legitimate strat because you're trying to save PP at any cost. 5 balls per battle. It still exists. It still helps a little bit with like Destiny Bond, but you can't just throw 100 balls in. When it says 5 balls, that does not mean 5 Pokeballs and 5 Great Balls. It means 5 balls total. This is specifically for battling a trainer. You can throw as many as you want to catch something. This is another big one that I think people are going to be really excited about. So I changed band abilities a little bit. If you are a Pokemon of 400 or less, you can use huge power. We banned battle armor for this and then a bunch of later gen ones. This rule will be for Kaizo as well. Mons under 400, you can use. If you get a Mon that can evolve and you have huge power, now you can use that to help you evolve it. So this should make evolution Mons a little bit more interesting. So there's a lot of Mons that, like Sableye with huge power, could be really good, just based on the fact that it has no weaknesses. I didn't want to ban too many abilities. People were like, oh, Pie's gonna ban all the good abilities. I tried to ban things where I feel like they're just such a huge advantage over everything else. And in a rule set that HP is such a valuable asset, battle armor felt extremely strong. If you can calculate, if battle armor is off and you can calculate all the damage that you're taking, it gives you a huge advantage. So now these are the big areas that I want. We made some Kaizo reverts to make this more doable. So that means we changed some things to make this more reasonable since we're upping the difficulty. Never ask me for anything ever again. All right, you can now. Every gym leader is 100% in Fire Red and Leaf Green. If you start off with a TM on your starter Pokemon from the lab, you can use that as well. So when you get a TM on your held Pokemon, it's a guaranteed move that you can add to your list. Based on how difficult this is and how important your ability to change out moves is going to be in this challenge, it made sense for me to make this. The rest of the TMs are still banned. It's still only the ones that you get from gym leaders. But, for example, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, now you have 16 additional moves on top of like the 20 moves that all those Mons learn. So that will be a huge buff. And that will allow people to be flexible. Let's say you get something like Swords Dance and you're like, this isn't really that valuable to me right now, but it might be valuable later on in the game. You can hold it and know that it can be taught at any moment. Healing items. As long as you're not inside a gym or the Elite Four, HP heals, status heals, and PB items can be used outside of battle. While in a gym or Elite Four, healing must be done. So now you can use healing items because we're taking away Poke Centers. If you get statused, you can use it outside of a battle. If you want to heal those 20 potions I gave you, now you can use those outside of a battle and not have to heal at every trainer. Obviously, if you go into a gym, the Kaizo rules apply. You cannot do this in gyms. The Kaizo rules still apply. You can only use healing items in battle in gyms and the Elite Four. These are just for survival. The Kaizo rules still stay the same. If we did this for Kaizo, Kaizo would be free. But wait, there's more. We're bringing held items back, but at a cost. Every single held item, with the exception of Lucky Egg, is allowed, but you must teach your lead Pokemon Cut. So you sacrifice a move with the flexibility of using held items. Now, Cut is a 50 power move. On a normal type, it is a 75 power move, and it has a ton of PP. So that is actually a cool play for normal types. But now that you have some options, if you're a tank Pokemon and you're thinking, man, this is really screwing me over. I'm tanky and I'm going to get owned by poison and burn. Well, now you can throw leftovers on your Tankmon and you can self-sustain off of some of these bad things. The only one that isn't allowed is Lucky Egg for obvious reasons because of XP. You're saying you're giving me more options for Tankmons? I am, because damaging healing moves are back too. Healing moves like Milk Drink, Recover, still banned. Those are like ridiculously strong. But Giga Drain is back, Leech Seed is back, Drain Punch for later games are still back. Pain Split is banned because that's ridiculous. Keep in mind, in Gen 3, Giga Drain is like 5 PP. And I think in later gens it gets up higher. This should be a bigger buff to Gen 5 players than it is to Gen 3. But yeah, the big theme of survival, because everyone whined on Twitter that Kaizo's too hard and it's all RNG. I wanted people to have choices. I think a meta will eventually solve and people will play a certain way. But I think there will be people that'll be like, frick it, I want to run a Tankmon that uses Leech Seed and I'm going to go with it. But we're not done yet, chat room. This is a fun one. The Sevi Islands are back, but with a twist. So we did some testing. I originally was going to let Sevi Islands be back completely, but we found out that the trade-off to go was like, there's no reason not to go. So we wanted to give a buff to mons that are not super strong, but are good. So if you get to the late game and you beat Blaine with a Pokemon that is under 500 BST, you are allowed to go to Sevi Islands. Why is that a big deal? There's like 20 item drops in Sevi Islands. There's a bunch of trainers that you can defeat that are going to be way more reasonable to beat. So you can get 2 to 3 levels. There is a guaranteed full restore on the island. There is the move relearner. It also gives some incentive to run mons that are slightly under 500. Things like Mamgar, things like Electabuzz. These are all high BST Pokemon that are just under 500 that would allow you to get an additional 15 to 20 mons. Can you use the move relearn as much as you want? As long as you're not reteaching Sketch over and over, yes. But you only get to go to the island one time. You cannot come back. And the final change for Fire Red Leaf Green, you don't have to fight the rival immediately in either of the places. So because you're going to be limited on your resources, you can fight the rival on the boat whenever you want to. Same thing with the tower. And finally, the Elite Four changes, which I think I've talked about most of these. No more X items in the Elite Four. You can still use these in gyms. And you are allowed to use one non-combat stat boosting move once per fight. Anyone that was using like Calm Mind or Swords Attack, or it makes a lot of sense to abuse that, but it was so boring. Dude, it was so boring to watch people full stack on like a bad AI mon and then just sweep. And I was like, this is not what Elite Four is supposed to be. And so I was like, you only get one. Remember, one Swords Attack is still +2. That's a huge boost that will help you do better. But now you're not just gonna press a button and clean up. The Elite Four, or whatever the equivalent of that is in the other Pokemon games, is supposed to be this extremely hype. Everyone in chat is like spamming dancing emotes, and it's supposed to be super dramatic. And I just found like everyone would hold their X items until the rival, which was like, again, playing to win. I don't, but it was just boring. Parasong is also boring. What about that? Well, too bad. Sometimes you lose to Parasong, sometimes you lose to Mirror Coat, sometimes you lose to Counter, sometimes you lose to Destiny Bond. Oh well, I'm never changing that. So the more people complain about it, the bigger smile I have. But I have given you more tools, in my opinion, to come up with some new things. And sometimes you just lose to bad luck. That is the rules. Again, I had a lot of people helping me with ultimately, you know, I made the final decision on a lot of these things, but I got feedback from Salty, I got feedback from Maj and Phil, I got feedback from a lot of other people that aren't necessarily huge IronMON players, which is what I needed. Again, choices are important. Kaizo was always meant to be stupid. I never thought people would play Kaizo. It was just for me, and then everyone played it. You know, I know people love Ultimate, and I wanted to bring back that Ultimate feel of choices matter while also being really hard. So I think we got this rule set. It has been beaten with a 500 BST Pokemon. So thanks everybody. I'm gonna start playing this immediately. Oh, before I forget, last thing. So we are doing a fun little competition. You're gonna be seeing a lot of people do survival. Some of your favorite streamers are gonna be playing survival. Some people you've never met that you should check out could become your new favorite stream. We're going to be doing survival, and we're doing a fun competition. Who can beat survival in the month of June in the least amount of attempts? So that way, someone who's using speed up is not necessarily getting a huge advantage over someone who just wants to play the game at the normal pace. But that'll be in the Discord. We're going to be giving out roles in the announcements tab. When I officially push this rule set out, there will be a form you can fill if you are streaming attempts of survival in any of the gens 1 through 5 games, or gens 3 through 5 games. You put your Twitch stream there. You can say what time you're streaming. We will have a spreadsheet that people can check so they know when to find new streamers that are playing it. It's going to be a fun little thing. Again, this is for fun. There is no prize. You get a cool role in the Discord and that is it. So please don't cheat. Cheating is like so lame. This is a for fun thing. Go check it out. I will be posting it right now in the announcements tab. IronMON.gg. Thanks again for being so awesome. I'm super excited. I'm super excited to see how this goes. Good luck to everyone that is doing runs today. Have a lot of fun. And remember, chat room, it's going to be hard. It is not meant to be easy.